What is accessibility in nature? We know a lot more about language access, auditory access, but I know there's these other aspects of accessibility that maybe don't get talked about as much as they should.
Accessibility, I think, means something different to everybody. So we're really trying to let people, figure out, discern for themselves what's accessible based off of their interests, their abilities, because everybody's got their own ability level.
This has been in the works for a long time at the Watershed Institute, and I think we're just starting to see how it's coming together. Things like the boardwalk trail.
Welcome back to Watershed Matters, the podcast of the Watershed Institute. I'm Jim Waltman. A mounting body of evidence confirms what many of us have known for a long time, that spending time in nature significantly reduces stress, lowers anxiety, and improves our overall emotional well-being. When I paddle my kayak down a clear stream or hike in a beautiful natural area like the Watershed Institute's Nature Reserve, I feel calm, relaxed, and connected. But sadly, not everyone has had access to beautiful natural areas, and some people even feel unwelcome in such areas. Today, we're exploring efforts to improve accessibility to nature, to bring the mental and physical benefits of nature to everyone.
Thanks, Jim, for introducing today's episode. I'm Lucia Middleton, Water Policy Associate at the Watershed Institute, and today we are joined by two wonderful guests, Pri Oliveira and Sean Kane-Holland. Pri Oliveira is the Outreach and Inclusion Manager at the Watershed Institute, where she focuses on diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives to connect people to nature. And Sean Kane-Holland is the Nature and Disability Advocate at the Pinelands Alliance, where he works to connect people with disabilities to outdoor spaces. Pri and Sean, thank you so much for being a guest on this episode of Watershed Matters. To get us started about this theme of nature and accessibility, we'll start with a broad question for our audience. So for you guys, what is accessibility in nature? Because Pri and I, we know a lot more about language access, auditory access, but I know there's these other aspects of accessibility that maybe don't get talked about as much as they should.
Accessibility, I think, means something different to everybody. I myself was born with a mobility concern, so I have an eye for what's accessible for mobility, using wheelchairs, crutches, canes, things like that. There's accessibility for folks who have visual concerns. So there's braille trails that are being developed now. The Nature Conservancy has been really leading the charge on that. They've added some virtual tours to their properties with their braille trails. Just access to information about a particular site, so people can figure out what features are at the site before going out and enjoying nature. So we're really trying to let people figure out, discern for themselves what's accessible based off of their interests, their abilities, because everybody's got their own ability level.
I would say that accessibility in nature to me includes language accessibility, so the different languages that information is offered, whether it's English, Spanish, or anything else that someone might speak here in New Jersey. It also, for me, includes culturally. So in terms of the different cultures that are trying to access the environment, how welcome do they feel, LGBTQ+. This is all stuff that we work on here at the Watershed Institute. And I would also say, just echo what Sean was mentioning, that for me it also includes physical access and also how well the information is displayed. Things like trail markers and how easy it is to find a trail. For me, that's all accessibility in nature.
Yeah, so that leads to my next question for you guys. What does inclusive access to nature look like in practice? You mentioned the signage, maybe how well maintained the trails are, if there's benches, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, for my organization, I work for Pinelands Alliance. We do have a GIS map and a survey. So when I go out and survey spaces, it's really taking you from the front door, the parking lot of the facility, identifying ADA parking spaces, access from that parking area to the trailheads or to visitor centers, buildings, bathrooms. Really identifying what those features are, how they're accessible, widths of trails. Cross slopes of trails, slopes of trails, identifying all those types of that data, so folks realize what they're going to encounter when they're out there. Also identifying like features like loan equipment that parks might have. State parks now in New Jersey are starting to get track chairs. We have 7 chairs available for inclusive programs that we offer.
Oh, that's amazing.
And they're of different styles. We have electric or power chairs and manual style chairs, so folks can figure out what their abilities are, and they can rent those wheelchairs during our nature programs, but also identifying things like braille trails and other sources if there's PEC boards that are available on site, so folks who are non-vocal can communicate with folks who are working at that facility or somebody in their party, their family or friends. So it's really a robust, eclectic, category of things that would make a space accessible.
Is this part of your Nature for All campaign?
Yeah, it's part of our Nature Accessible for All campaign. We started off. Pinelands is for everyone, so we were focusing on just the Pinelands region, southern New Jersey, but we did get grant funds from the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation to launch it statewide. So we've been working with nonprofit, state, and county land management facilities or organizations to improve spaces for accessibility and inclusion. Both programs and just the physical sites themselves.
That's amazing. Yeah, I was taking a look at your mapping tool. I think that was a part of the campaign the other day, and the level of detail and information that you've put into each of those points of the trail. Could you talk a little bit about how you designed that mapping tool and how people can access it?
Yeah, so the map is going to be found at nature or accessnaturenj.org. That's where you'll really get our full website. So there's different pieces on that website, resources for land management, but also resources for the public to learn about spaces that are accessible, and also funding resources and other resources that organizations are offering, like those loan shares and things like that.
Amazing. And is that the main campaign that you work on in your role, or what are other things that you work on for like accessibility at Pinelands Alliance? I'm so curious.
Yeah, so some things that I'm currently working on is workshops. With I'm working with another nonprofit organization, Ocean Positive. They're focused more on water recreation. They work with individuals who have spinal cord injuries or either born or acquired spinal injuries. So they actually have wilderness safety backgrounds and EMT backgrounds. They've been leading the charge with those workshops for building inclusive programs and safety, including safety in those inclusive programs. I've led workshops with the New York, New Jersey Trail Conference for site assessments. Also leading inclusive programs in conjunction with Pinelands Adventures with those 7 wheelchairs. So we've done birding programs, we've done Nature 101 programs, sensory-based programs as well. So talking about different aspects of plants in the Pinelands that have scent or touch, taste, characteristics, and getting people connected to nature that way. We're also leading forums online through Zoom meetings, so that's for land management, but also for the public to talk about barriers that they're facing, whether they be physical barriers or regulatory barriers at these sites that they want to get out and enjoy recreating at. Then also have a steering committee and working groups that we have available. So public can join in on those discussions, help guide and lead the campaigns, because this is really supposed to be led by the community who we're trying to help and assist. So just gaining information and their perspective really helps guide us into goals that we're trying to achieve.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, I feel like a lot of environmental organizations in the state were not working on that enough. So thank you for really spearheading that and working on that at the Pinelands Alliance. So pivoting to a different part of access, I think you've had personal and professional experience with increasing access for people of different types of identities. So I think we're all aware that in natural spaces or at parks or nature trails, you tend largely to only see people of certain demographics, whether that be age or racial. So if you don't mind talking a little bit about your personal experience with access to nature, and also perhaps later on, how we have been working on building more access to nature at the Watershed Institute.
Sure. So I guess I'll give a little bit of personal background then, since you know my personal background. Not everyone does. I grew up in Newark, New Jersey, in a I think it was North Newark. It was so long ago now, I don't really remember too much the area, but it was during a time when everyone was very fearful to be outside.
Yeah.
People were just starting to understand that the Passaic River was a bad place, just chemically. My dad used to fish in there.
Oh.
And bring the fish home.
You bring the fish home?
No, we ate the fish.
Oh, man.
So it was just
dear.
part of normal life until
Right.
it wasn't. And there were a lot of communities there that didn't feel like, well, first of all, as you know, a lot of immigrant communities, it's not their first priority. The environment just isn't a priority when you have to feed your household and work. So not only was it not a priority, but they also didn't understand the information that was being sent to them. And they didn't feel like they could, like Sean was mentioning, like there was a forum to speak out about these issues. It was a time where you kept your head down. You just did what you had to do. And the information that was being sent to them was kind of, I don't know if you've ever seen an EPA notice that something is contaminated or something like that, but it's all in scientific terms, and it wasn't easy to
Yeah, too much jargon, sometimes not translated.
Yeah.
Or if it is translated, it's not a good translation.
Yeah, it wasn't a good time. And over time, I've continued to see echoes of that. I would say maybe things have gotten better. But even a few years ago, I would go to Lawrence Bay Harbor, which is in Monmouth County, and it's a beach area along the Raritan Bay. And there was at least, used to be a big EPA sign there that said, stay off the sand. There's lead in the sand. Do not go on the sand, which is counterintuitive for people who want to go to a beach. And there were still a bunch of families in the sand, fishing, all that stuff. It's not something that people really knew what it was about. They were never told about it, all of that stuff. This is all like before our time that things have been classified contaminated or whatever it was. So I grew up in a contaminated community. And my brother is also, I wouldn't say so he has issues with walking as well, just day to day. And it was just something that developed over time. He's autistic, so he can't take a lot of sensory overload. And he's also a low-functioning, nonverbal person, so I can't communicate with him often, and he can't communicate with me what he's feeling or why he's upset or anything like that. Those two things put together made it so that when I was growing up, the environment did not feel like a comfortable place. It definitely showed over time how I felt about the environment. Like, even to this day, I still feel weird about walking into the Stony Brook, which is relatively clean compared to the Passaic River. And I probably am not going to walk out with a third arm, but it still makes me feel uncomfortable just because of the way I grew up. And I think a lot of people kind of felt like that too, on top of other things like racial discrimination or sexual identity discrimination or anything like that people might feel in public, just in general, in terms of social systemic issues. Now, I will say that I think that this has definitely changed over time. Here at the Watershed Institute, I would say we are seeing a lot more communities that previously hadn't been here now coming to our major family events, coming to specific, we have a Pride hike in June, and just kind of slowly over time recognizing that this isn't a place that's going to judge them. It's not a place that's going to discriminate them. It's a place where everyone is welcome. But to do that, it takes a lot of groundwork. It takes people like you, Lucia, going out into communities, telling them in their native language, because you do this in Spanish, you are welcome here. You can come here. It's not going to be something that is going to be held against you or anything like that.
Yeah, it's your space too, and you can also use it. It's for everyone.
This has been in the works for a long time at the Watershed Institute, and I think we're just starting to see how it's coming together. Things like the Boardwalk Trail, that was before my time. So
They just built that like right when I started, like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Almost 4 years ago.
So these are all things that it's been a legacy over time of people working really hard to make people feel like they can come here, they can enjoy it. If you go on the Farm History Trail and you go on I think it's the Meadow Trail going towards the pond, there's a haiku station that was built by interns, I think 15 or 20 years ago. And those are the kinds of things, you see little aspects of this over time at the Watershed Institute. And I think what organizations are doing now, like the Pinelands Alliance and the Watershed Institute, are, sitting down and thinking about this very specifically. Like, now this is an effort. We are going to work on this, not just part-time, not just because someone is passionate about it, but because it's important and it's going to be part of the mission.
The two of you, I think, bring really unique and very needed perspectives that I think are representative of a lot of people that live here in the state. New Jersey is one of the most diverse states in the entire nation. So for you two, what are some things that made you feel that you belonged in nature? And what are some of those things that other people who might also be feeling the same things that you all were feeling when you were younger, that they could replicate to help make themselves feel like they belong, or encourage people to also build a connection to outdoor spaces?
So I'll say, just kind of jumping on from what I explained with my brother, finding any place, and that's why I use the map so much, where he can walk without falling. So for me, I go to Walmart, he's yelling, he stims by yelling, and he stims by hitting on hard surfaces. So can you imagine like me walking through Walmart?
Yeah.
This guy is like yelling at the top of his lungs. He has scared many people that way. It's kind of funny, but at the same time, it makes me feel, not that I'm embarrassed of him, but it's more like society has an expectation and I need to edit him. So finding a place that's open and quiet, and a place where he can just scare the squirrels, and that's okay. That's really important to me.
Yeah.
In terms of me also feeling comfortable in the space.
I mean, for me, I think my upbringing was a little different than Priya's. I grew up in southern New Jersey, in the Pinelands, so I was surrounded by nature through, at an early stage, and I've been very active. I'm a very active guy, venturous, always been that way. I'm fortunate that I do have more mobility than a lot of folks in my condition. I'm able to drive a vehicle, like kayak myself. So anytime I feel like it, I just chuck my kayak on the top of my car and I'm off to the pines and kayaking down the river. Also have a history background, so I've always had an interest in history and nature and culture that was instilled into me from a very early age. My family's always been supportive of me, and don't hold me back from my goals and what my interests are. So yeah, I've been very fortunate with my upbringing and where I've been, and been able to enjoy nature from an early start.
Yeah, I think everyone who has built up a strong connection to outdoor spaces is always consistently feel like everyone has that one person or group of people that encourage them to be there like in the first place. Like with my parents, my mom is not a particularly outdoorsy person, but my dad really is. He will go on multi-day bike rides. Made me walk 70 blocks in New York as a child instead of taking the subway because he wanted to be outside and go through Central Park or hiking a mountain. So he is someone who, for me, like really helped me build my connection with the outdoors and just the importance of access to outdoor spaces. And yeah, I just think it's something that can't be understated, like how we were raised, how we grew up, and that sort of thing. I want to ask this question just because I'm in the policy side of things here at our org. So I'm curious, have you worked with like towns or even at the state level to advocate for certain measures to make trails like more accessible, better maintained, include braille, that sort of thing? Have you worked with like policy officials at all?
Yeah. So we have worked closely with two townships down in Burlington County. We just finished a trail last year at Pemberton Lake. So we were working with Pemberton Township. They had to go through a 13-step process and a memorandum of agreement with the Pinelands Commission to get approvals and regulations, to get approval to have that trail completed. We had a ribbon cutting for that last October, and now we're also currently working with Evesham Township to do similar work at the Black Run Preserve. So yeah, we've had to deal with policy in that aspect, and we're trying to get the Pinelands Commission to create some amendments to their rulings to allow these types of trails to be created or improved upon.
Wow, that's amazing. Wow, that's so cool. What? So you've clearly done so much work interacting with all sorts of different people, different communities. What would you say has been your favorite initiative or connection that you've worked on at the Pinelands Alliance? Like what has struck you the most, I guess?
Probably completing the trail at Pemberton. It was kind of an eye opener. How much work it really eventually took to get the approval, the approvals to get that trail work done. It was 3 years plus of conversation and doing testings and permitting processes and all that. So it was really a testament to the township and my colleagues, sticking to the task and the goal to see it through. Because once we got the approval, it only took the Public Works guys maybe 3 weeks, 4 weeks tops to actually complete the trail, when it took them 3.5 years to actually get the approvals.
And what are the main features of the trail?
So the trail that we improved upon was a pre-existing trail, but we widened it a little bit, so it's now 5 feet wide. We laid down DGA, which is dense grade aggregate. It's stone dust, and that really forms nicely to a compact and sturdy surface to allow wheelchairs and strollers, crutches, walkers, mobility equipment out on the trail. We did also add a few boardwalk sections that were part of offsets that we had to accomplish to get the trail work done, because those areas were in wetland buffer zones. So that was just to really remove any kind of adverse effects that human activity could have in those spaces. Then we did also add ADA parking spaces at one end of the trail. So it's really a complete, it's a there and back trail. It's about 7/10 of a mile.
Wow. And I'm assuming a lot of people must be using it now. Like, have you been since, I assume
Yeah, I've gone back and to see how it's holding up, and there's a wide use. There's more use for sure at the site. We've actually led some of our inclusive programs from that space now that it's completed. So we did a couple bird watching, bird programs along the lake there. They get a wide variety of wildlife and plant life there. There's eagle that visit the space, different warblers, and all types of bird species.
I love when a project like that leads to this sort of ripple effect that ends up with just so many new possibilities for ways that you can connect more people to nature. So congrats on that project. That's not an easy feat. So hats off to you. Pri, I'll ask you the same question. In your time at the Watershed, it's been 7 years now. What is an initiative maybe that you've worked on that gives you the most pride and joy, let's say?
There's so many to choose from.
It's a difficult question.
Well, a lot of I would say that as the inclusion manager, a lot of the projects that I kind of see are in things that I'm directly involved with. Things that I would be most proud of, I would say the other day during the Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Council meeting.
Yes.
I said Jedi like it's something. We're not Jedi. It's Disney, don't sue us.
Yeah. It's not that Jedi.
It's not that kind. So during that meeting, our stewardship department was sharing that they're going to start a special or specific mapping survey 123 app for one of our neurodivergent members,
Okay.
volunteers, a supporter who's been here a long time, and she's neurodivergent, and she wants to go around and help us ID invasives during her time because she comes here anyway. So they're working with her to develop that for her. So something like that for me is something I can say is really cool to see happening because, like I said, a lot of the stuff that's been happening at the Watershed has been things that have been passion-fueled, individual staff member-fueled. Like there's one person who really wants to do this and thinks this is a good idea, and other people start jumping in, and it creates this kind of ripple effect of our own where it becomes a big project. I would say I am proud and happy to work with a staff where this comes within. So I found a place that it's not just me who feels like everyone should have access. Like I would say everyone here feels like people should be able to come and use the trails and all of that. So that we've a pretty quick turnaround. The communications department added language translation to our website. And there's just like so many things that have happened over the 7 years that we did pretty quickly because we realized that, oh, this is a barrier, then let's just not be a barrier anymore.
Yeah.
Even your position for Spanish-speaking communities specifically was something that was like, oh, it's a good idea, and there are so many Spanish-speaking communities in our watershed. Let's just do it. Let's find funding. Let's do it. I feel fortunate enough to be in a place that has the resources, but also the insight from all these different staff members that are sharing their experiences. It's just incredible to see so many people who care about these broader ways of increasing accessibility to our reserve, working on it in their own different ways, doing the work, going through the kind of stress of trying to find funding and time and capacity. And I would say every staff member here has put in comp time at least once here or somewhere else to help each other with these projects.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's, as the inclusion manager, that's what I like to see, I guess, is people working together on it.
Yeah, that's very important. So Pri and Sean, for your respective organizations, what are ways that you connect people to nature that is not just necessarily bringing people to a trail or a stereotypical version of an outdoor space?
So the Watershed Institute has a lot of programs. We do science, we do education, we have advocacy efforts, and a good portion of those efforts are not even on our reserve. So the education team goes out to Trenton. The science team has monitoring sites all over our watershed and even all over the state now with New Jersey Salt Watch, which you've heard in an earlier podcast episode.
Yes.
So to us, it's not just bringing people here, but showing them that nature is all around us, environment is all around us, and the impacts you can have in your own community. In a sense of accessibility, some things that we do are like for our Streamwatch monitoring. We don't just do that at our Streamwatch sites. We also engage schools and students so that they can also get that experience early on with monitoring efforts and science. And I know you mentioned not just nature, but we do also have a lot of family events here. And one of the things we've done in the past is busing people over to the extent
providing
possible.
transportation. That's
That's
big
for
one.
family events, but that's also for school programs. So the education team brings schools over, or we have a bus space. The schools will send a bus over. So there's that kind of accessibility built here too, is that we can allow large groups of people to come here via mass transportation when necessary. And we also work on advocacy efforts in communities with community members, with environmental commissions and councils on just broader environmental issues, stormwater management, policies, ordinances. That's something that you do a lot. So you would probably be able to talk about it more. And something I mentioned in the beginning, which is something we've really started doing in the past 4 years that you've been here, is also translating our materials into different languages, particularly Spanish. So our website, you can translate into any language using a tool, but you've done very kind of empathetic person-to-person work with Spanish communities, Spanish landscapers, and bringing the information we have to share and the advocacy efforts we have to share to them directly in their own language, which I think has helped a lot with bringing nature to people where they are.
Yeah, that's something that I think we've emphasized a lot at the Watershed increasingly, is the importance of being adept in the way that we communicate with different groups of people. So the way that you might be explaining how a watershed works will be different to a council member of a town versus, say, a resident of an overburdened community. So that's something that I'm glad that we've been emphasizing, because it's so important to use not just the type of language that people speak, but also specific words, specific frames of thought, specific ways of describing things that can resonate with people and help them to have a personal connection to what we're talking about, instead of this erudite, like technical jargon about climate change and tree species or what have you. But Sean, I'd like to hear what you guys have been doing over at Pinelands.
Yeah, I mean, work is very similar to what you guys do here at the Institute. Can't bring people to the nature, try to bring it to them. So we do advocacy, outreach, do presentations to the community, school groups, also to senior citizen organizations, and also other natural or preservation organizations. Also, we shuttle people from our Pinelands Adventures facility out into the pines to do land-based and also water-based recreation. But we also attend Pinelands Commission meetings, and just reaching out to the community by offering presentations of different aspects of the work that we do.
Great.
And similarly, we also have material that's in both Spanish and English, so we try to reach a diverse community as.
Okay. Thank you so much, Pri and Sean, for being guest stars in this episode. I think this was a really important conversation to have today about accessing nature and how everyone deserves to be in nature and have a relationship with it. And thank you, listeners, for tuning into today's episode about that accessibility. Until next time.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
You've been listening to Watershed Matters by the Watershed Institute. Watershed Matters is supported by a generous grant from the Kent Fields Foundation. Join the movement, share your story, and keep the water and the conversation flowing. Learn more at thewatershed.org.